guys, welcome back to another video. So today thought I would talk about some accessibility joys and issues that I've had these past couple weeks. And kind of just discuss as a blind person. So I use JAWS, which is a screen reader, and I also use Braille from my Brownlet Touch, my Brownlet Apex. I also use VoiceOver on my phone, and sometimes I use my phone connected to my Brownlet so I can read it in Braille. So that I would talk about some of the issues that I've had recently. So in last week I started to apply for the NBCOT exam, and unfortunately the application for the exam was not accessible. The website was, I don't want to say terrible, because it was decent. You could actually read it, but whenever you went to apply for the exam, there were these questions you had to fill out, and they weren't accessible with the screen reader. It kept taking me to the bottom of the page and back to the top, and it was a mess. So luckily I had some sighted people around that could help me, but it was also kind of frustrating, because I wanted to apply for the exam on my own. I had to fill out a lot of private information. Like I had to prove that I had a disability, and that's private medical information, so I had to share it with sighted people because they would help me fill out the application. There was a whole lot, and so I was kind of frustrated because, I wanted to be independent. I mean, I had come this far, graduated college, and I couldn't even fill out the application. So I got it filled out because sometimes you got to pick your battles, and I needed it filled out to apply for the exam, because if I didn't, it would just be a long time before I actually applied, and I want to get a job soon, so I had to fill that out. So I filled it out and emailed the NBCOT, which is National Board Certification for Occupational Therapy, and I explained the accessibility issues I was having as a blind person with a screen reader, and I politely but firmly explained, that I want to be independent, and if they're OT, specifically oriented to OT, like, accessibility should be high standards. So they emailed me back, and they said that they were trying to recreate the website to make it more accessible, which I was like, go you. And they said that they would like some user feedback on the website, and they asked me if I would like to be part of that, and I was like, well, of course, because who better to get accessibility guidance and testing from than the disabled themselves? So I was like, sure, I'll do it. I don't know what's going to come from that, but I hope it's great, because there are a lot of students coming up that are blind or visually impaired in the OT professions, and they're going to have to be taking this exam, and they're going to have to be applying for it on the website. So, that's something that if it's accessible for them, then at least my experience was something, because I stood up and told them, hey, fix this, and they listened. So, it's frustration, but also good, because it brought attention to the situation, and they're willing to fix it, hopefully. So then a joy was that it's snowing here in Indiana. It's like probably 13 or 14 degrees right now outside. So it was supposed to snow last night, so I ended up using an app called Instacart, which is basically kind of like a grocery store app, and you go in and select different items that you want, and they deliver them to your apartment or house, or wherever you live. So I was so shocked, because it's my first time ever using one of those apps, and it worked. Like, there was no difficulty with accessibility. It was like magic. So I was super glad, and like, I almost wanted to celebrate, because it was so easy and convenient, and like, I was equal with sighted people for once with accessibility. Literally it took me the same amount of time as it would take a sighted person, so it was cool. And everything was online, everything was accessible with VoiceOver and JAWS, and yeah, it was really good. So kudos to Instacart, good job, because you guys are awesome. I ironically, I ordered from Sam's Club on Instacart because the Sam's Club app's not accessible currently. Um, it's accessible to the extent that you can purchase items, but if they have options like colors, you can't select those. So the downside to Sam's Club is that I can't use their app when I want to pick specific colors and things. I've talked to them for going on probably 6 or 7 months about this. They seemed really concerned about it in the beginning. They were like, yeah, we'll work on it. And then they said about November-ish to contact them in January to see where they were, if I had any trouble still. So I contacted them in January, and I was like, hey, I still have this problem. Well, as of now, I haven't heard anything back from them yet, so I'm still kind of waiting. I'm going to send another email, though, because it is February at this point. And, you know, there's a lot of blind people that are paying for Sam's Club membership. And, you know, it's like $50. I mean, if we're not able to benefit fully from the membership, then what's the point? You know, and I hate to say it, but I mean, they could lose business for not making this thing accessible. I mean, it's an app, and you know, it's frustrating to me as a blind person because, you know, I want to have the independence and the freedom to buy things online like everybody else. And a lot of people think that I go overboard when I complain about accessibility, but like most of the people that are complaining are sighted people. They don't have to deal with it, so they don't really know. And also, like, people aren't going to know unless you tell them. I'm one of those people where I'm like, hey, this is broken, you need to fix it. Here's how you can fix it, kind of give them ideas. Because, you know, honestly, in the mainstream world, no one thinks about accessibility. The majority of people don't. And so if you don't tell them, they're not going to know. They're just going to assume automatically that it works. Or they assume that people with disabilities don't use their technology or their apps or their product. And so, you know, if no one complains about it, they're never going to know. Excuse me. So, let's see. SimiCase, which is a simulated patient portal online simulation tool. Basically, it's like a video. You can see different patients. They have different things like for occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech language pathology, audiology, and there's something else, but I forget what it was. Some other medical profession. Anyway, it's a fairly new thing. It came out a couple years ago, I believe, and it's really neat. It has all these like videos and PowerPoint presentations and all these different things, and you can go in and select your patient, and they have like case studies that you work on. Basically, it's like treating a virtual patient. You kind of like, it reminds me of the old times whenever you had these little virtual pets, and you had to like feed them, walk them and stuff like virtually. That's basically what you're doing online. You select objectives that you want to complete, and you complete them. You fill out reports, you fill out goals, you read the chart review. Excuse me. Sorry, allergies. You fill out the chart review. You have a clipboard you can write notes in. It's great. Back in July/August, when I was talking to them of 2020, they were working on accessibility because they hadn't really experienced, you know, a lot of blind people using this program. So luckily they were able to fix some of the errors. I'm working with them on some accessibility issues right now, but for the most part it's accessible with JAWS at least. I don't know about other screen readers because it really depends, but as of now, with JAWS, SimiCase is mostly accessible, and they are working to fix the issues with accessibility right now. So I really applaud them because a lot of times companies just say, oh, well, sorry, we're not accessible. Okay. And they'll say, we'll work on it, and then 6 months later, nothing happens. So SimiCase actually did try to fix things. They're still working on it currently, and I applaud them for that. Trying to think of some other interesting accessibility things was a couple weeks ago, a group of friends and I went to a restaurant called Bob Evans, which in America is like this country farmhouse kind of style food. It's really good. And I walked in, and they were like, well, we got down, sat at our table, and they gave us a menu, and I was like, do you guys have a Braille menu? And they were like, yeah, we've got like 6. Hold on. And literally, they got that menu within like 30 seconds. And of course, I read the whole thing because we don't have Braille menus where I'm from originally, so I was happy and shocked, and I was like, yay! So I read the whole menu, and we were there for like 4 hours, so not because I read the menu, we were there because some friends and I were studying for the MBCOT exams, so we studied and ate food. It was awesome. And it was just nice because, like, no one had to read me the menu. I didn't feel like I was blind at that point because, like, the menu was already there for me in Braille, and I didn't have to be like, hey, so-and-so, what's this say? Or, hey, so-and-so, do they have fish here, or shrimp, or chicken, you know? We could just have a conversation, and everything was normal. You know, it was really nice, and I felt like I was equal to them. Let's see. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Oh, yeah, here's a good one. My apartment, the way it works is that we get Spectrum, which is a cable provider, and okay, they do cable, internet, and telephone service, but we only use them for cable and internet. And our apartment that we are renting provides cable boxes for free for Spectrum. So originally I called Spectrum because they have this thing called Audio Guide, which is basically like a voiceover that tells you what channel you're on when you flip through the channels of your TV. And our old box didn't have that, so called them, and they were like, yeah, you can get a new box, but it'll be an extra fill in the blank charge. And we were like, no way, we can't really afford that. We're college students. Well, I'm not a college student anymore, but recently college students, and that's expensive. And you know, we were kind of confused because we need to upgrade, but the only reason why we need to upgrade is because it's accessibility, because you know we wanted to be able to access the audio guide. So we call Spectrum again, and we explain again like what's going on, what we want. And this is like a 4-hour phone call between us, my roommate and I, customer service and accessibility team, because they kept transferring us back and forth. And nobody really knew what was going on. They were just saying that we had to pay for it and all this stuff. So we had a tech come out, because they told us they could just put it in the box. Well, then the tech came out, and I don't know what exactly happened, but apparently the people in charge told them that we didn't need a box, so they didn't bring a box, so they had to go back and get it from their warehouse, the technician. So I was like, well, why did you come here if you didn't have a box to put in? So I don't know. But when the technician called the company, they were like, yeah, the customer has to pay, and I was like, no, we don't, it's accessibility. So finally today, a Spectrum tech person came and installed a new box. We called it Spectrum Accessibility a couple days ago, and they were like, yeah, it's no problem, it's free, and I was like, yay. And they told me that you can also get Braille statements, like Braille billing statements, and Braille like channel guides, those kind of things. And so I did that, obviously, because Braille, yay. And so they put it in today, and I was like, alright, I can watch TV. And it's exciting because I never had this except when I was at Leader Dogs for the Blind. I never had the whole TV where I can like watch the entire thing, flip through the channels and everything. So we have like Netflix and Hulu on our TV, and that is accessible because we have the voiceover on our TV, kind of like voiceover, but it's called something else. But I couldn't use the Spectrum cable box until now, so now I can, and it's like totally cool. Yeah. So that's about all. I just like accessibility is great. And, I don't want to say I don't get frustrated, because I totally do. I get frustrated when accessibility is not fixed. I do realize it's 2021, and, technology is always changing, everybody can't always keep up. But if you genuinely try to make your website or product, whatever you have, accessible, not just to blind people, but to everyone with a disability, no one's going to be upset with you. Well, the majority of people aren't going to be upset with you for trying. We might just contact you and be like, hey, you should look into this, make it more accessible. But, if it's mostly accessible, we're not going to throw a fit. For example, my apartment complex, they have a new app that they're using, and you can download it on your phone. It's really cool. The problem with this app is that some of the buttons aren't labeled. So for example, it'll say like red arrow button or green arrow button. And most of the time you can figure out context-wise what that means. So like if an arrow's at the top of the page, that means back. If it's at the bottom, it means forward. Most of the time. So even though the button's not labeled correctly, it's not saying back button, forward button. It's just a picture and the voiceover is describing it. That's okay, because I still understand what the button is. And ideally I'd want it to be fully accessible, to where it would say front, back, forward, back, whatever. But I'm not going to be like, this app sucks, you need to fix it, So yeah. So that's pretty much all I've got. Hopefully you find this video at least somewhat enjoyable. I don't really know. I've just kind of been ranting and rambling. But yeah, like, seriously, if you're blind, visually impaired, whatever disability you have, if you have products that aren't accessible, like, don't be like, I'm gonna sue you if it's not accessible, but be firm about it. Be like, hey, look, this is messed up. Here's how you could fix this. Try to offer them solutions. But don't just ignore it just because you don't want to speak up. Because if you don't speak up, they're never gonna know. And, there might not be anything that happens if you speak up about it. It depends on the company. Because some companies are super big and they don't really care about accessibility. So they're not really gonna be too concerned of one person complaining out of the 5 million other customers they have. But if you are persistent about it and you find other people who can help you, maybe you post in a Facebook group, or you find an organization that's willing to help you, and you say, hey everyone, like, help me support this claim for inaccessibility using blah blah blah, and you state your case, basically explaining why you want it to be accessible, what's wrong with it. You find support from other people, and then they all complain about it, and then the company's like, oh, this many people are upset about it, we should probably fix it. So if you have a problem with it, that's how you should go about it, because then you get more support. The company sees that people are actually concerned about it. You're not just one person out of the bunch, and then it's fixed eventually, hopefully. For me personally, I struggle with this a lot, because a lot of my things that I've had accessibility issues with is products in the medical field. So I found ways to get around them, like dynamometers, pinch gauges, etc. Those are grip strength measurement tools and pinch strength measurement tools. They're not accessible because they're visual based, and I've gotten around that by using my phone to have someone tell me what they see. Ideally, it would be nice if it talked. But understanding that I'm blind, and I'm probably the only one who's going to complain about it, at least in the near future, until we get more people in the medical profession that's blind or visually impaired. They're not really going to listen to me because I'm just one person. And I know a lot of people say that, one person can make a big difference. Yes, that's true. But it works a lot better if you have more support from other people with your disability, or people with disabilities in general. So, I personally haven't decided to go to these companies and say, hey, make your product talk, because there's not really a need for it right now, because I'm the only blind person who uses it currently that I know of, who's found an issue with it at least. So, you gotta pick your battles. Luckily for me, I figured out a way to get around the accessibility issue. But if there's something that you can't figure out how to get around, that's when you should go and complain, because, if it's preventing you from doing your job completely, or completing your task, whatever it may be, pick your battles, but definitely stand up for that, because it's at that point it's becoming a handicap, because you can't use the equipment, whatever it may be, or technology or product or whatever it is. So yeah, that's about all I've got. Again, I know I said that earlier, but thank you all for watching. Hopefully you're having a good February. Well, I don't know what it is that you'll be watching this, but right now it's February 9th, so hopefully you're having a good February 9th. And if I don't make another video before Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's Day to you all. And thank you all for watching this video. And if you're new to my channel, which hopefully you are, because I like subscribers. I need more subscribers. But if you are, then definitely subscribe. And if you're not new, thank you for subscribing already and for watching this. I literally just make videos about my life on this channel. So, pretty much just me. And occasionally I do film outside, but since COVID happened, I haven't really been able to travel much to film anything. And, as of right now, I don't really want to film in the store at Walmart or anything, because people aren't wearing a mask, and then, it's a big thing. I wear a mask, but people at the store don't always, so, yeah. So thank you for watching, have a good day, and, yeah, thank you.